something set up. Uno momento. And we are good. Yeah, so again, every morning coming into the market, once again, to recap, I'm only looking at the volume to start. I will look at the float. Float's very important as well, but I'm not really too concerned about the gap up. That's not the first thing I'm, really worried about. I'm really looking at the volume because I want to see, are there traders? Is there activity in this stock, right? Is it trading 12,000 shares or is it trading 12 million shares? That's very important. So again, when I see, okay, CAAS, 4.8 million shares, fantastic. That seems like a lot of volume, but how do I really back that up? How do I know that it's trading above the average daily volume? Well, I'm going to simply go over to Google Chrome. I'm going to go to Yahoo Finance, and I'm going to come up here and type in CAAS. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. And right here on the main screen, scroll on down, right? Just scroll on down. You're going to see volume. You're going to see average volume. Now, this average volume is based on 3 months. All right, so this is going to be the 3-month average volume. Now, if you want to really dive into this stock and see the last 6 months to 12 months, you can actually go over to thinviz.com and actually narrow that down by that stock and really filter it the way you want. So again, average volume is 110,000 shares per day, right? What are we trading today on CAAS? We are trading 4.95 million shares. That's fantastic. Another thing you can do over on Yahoo Finance is verify the float is correct. It's very, very rare, but sometimes the float's not correct. So how do you look at the float? You come up to statistics, right? Click on statistics. Reminds me of the that movie, Fun with Dick and Jane with Jim Carrey. The statistics? Yeah, anyway. So again, we're looking at it. Yahoo Finance is saying it's an 8 million in float stock. Trade Ideas is saying it's an 11 million in float stock. Pretty darn close. So again, 8 to 11 million in float, relatively low. That's pretty good stuff. You can see all of the other statistics as well. The average volume for 3 months, again, that's that 110,000. We can see the average volume over the last 10 days as well, which is 500,000. So we're trading above the 10-day and the 3-month average volume. That's fantastic, right? We have tons of volume, right? It's like 10 times the average daily volume. So right there, criteria number 1, volume, right? Does it have volume? Yes, it does. Is it trading above the average daily volume? Yes, it is. All right. Number 2, what's the gap up? How much is it gapping up? 90%. All right. So that's something to be concerned of, right? It's already moved 90% in pre-market. So what do you think a lot of traders are doing that say swung trade this? What do you think they're going to want to do when the market opens? Maybe they want to sell, right? Maybe there's some profit taking. Again, is it a super strong stock that's going to just rip on up? What kind of pattern is coming out of pre-market? Because we've seen a lot of stocks set up with what's called a gap and go strategy, to where the stock holds its gains beautifully in pre-market. Yes, it may be up 90%, but it's flagging out of pre-market. It's consolidating out of pre-market to where when that market opens and that bell rings, boom, you get a nice big push over those pre-market highs. And that's what we call a gap and go strategy, where the stock is gapping up, consolidating out of pre-market in a flag-like formation, and then it breaks over pre-market highs immediately, and it continues on the day. That is a gap and go. But one thing we have to be mindful of is, again, it's up 90%, right? This stock closed at 383 on Friday. If there are people, traders, swing trading this, and they're up 90% on their investment, they're going to want to take some profit, right? So we have to be mindful of that, as we may see most of the time stocks sell off. So that's when we got to dive into the chart and really look at our technicals, support, resistance, overall trends, patterns, you name it. Really get an edge on the stock so we can make the best trade. So again, number 1, volume. Number 2, jumping over to Yahoo Finance, average volume, we're trading at least 10 times relative. We know what the gap percentage is, 90%, and we know that the float is 11 million. Now, we have all of that figured out. What's the next thing is, why is it moving? Why is there 5 million shares traded? Why is it up 90%? Why? Right? What's the catalyst? Now, the catalyst can be news. The catalyst could be a daily chart setup, right? It could be a weekly chart, monthly chart setup. It could be something on the daily chart. like a technical setup that signals, a move to the upside. So there has to be a catalyst. Again, there's news, there's a daily chart setup, or it's momentum, right? So let's say we had great news on Monday, the stock's ripping on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's no specific catalyst, right? The news was on Monday. Why is it still moving up on Wednesday? Well, maybe there's a shit ton of momentum in the stock, right? So again, there's got to be a catalyst. There has to be a reason for the stock to be moving up. If there's not a reason, when we're really looking at these small cap penny stocks, typically we classify those as pump and dumps, right? It's 10:30 in the market and we see ABC stock, low float, ripping up on 100,000 shares. There's no news, no technicals, and it's moving up on light volume. What is that? That's a pump and dump, right? So a lot of these stocks, yes, because they're up 40%, 30%, whatever the case is, doesn't mean we should jump on into them right away, because there has to be a credible reason for the stock to be moving up. Okay, so what is the credible reason over on CAAS? Let's go check it out. Go ahead and pull up our morning stock newsletter. Scroll on down. CAAS, China Automotive Systems significantly increased sales to the rising Chinese EV market in 2020. So let's go ahead and click on that. It's going to take us right back to where we were. So again, let's really dive into this. A leading power steering components and systems supplier in China today announced that it shipped approximately 120,000 units from its portfolio of electric power steering EPS products for use in Chinese electric vehicles during 2020. So the biggest thing that stands out to me here is it's talking about, they shipped 120,000 units from its portfolio in the electric power steering market, electric vehicles, EV sector, right? These stocks have been ripping and running. So CAAS has news directly related to electric vehicles. Why is the stock moving up? Because again, that market's hot. Anytime we see a decent press release, great press release in regards to EV, those stocks typically move on up really, really well. So that's what we have going on CAAS. That is our catalyst, right? There's a reason for the stock to be moving. It's trading above the average daily volume. It's a low float stock, right? It's something that we should look at. It's going to the watch list. That's how we've identified this stock is worth adding to the watch list. So now we got to look at the technicals, right? What do we see on the daily? First thing I do is I jump right into the daily. And I want to start marking up my areas. And then I want to come back and look at intraday to see if those levels are being respected or not. So number one, what am I doing? I'm trying to mark up areas that I think are good overhead resistance levels. So again, we have some resistance up here off these spiking highs at 798. Grabbing my tool again, right up here towards around that $9 mark. Those spiking highs up towards around 10. Pretty easy stuff, every dollar. Then I'm looking at levels of support, right? So I'm looking at significant areas that I think can hold this stock up as support. So I see these lows right here off $6. It's a pretty good area, right? We came down twice on the daily chart. We got a little bit of movement. Looking left, just keep scrolling back. Okay, it tags here, Okay, so $6 is a pretty solid area, right? Scrolling right, all the way back down towards around $5. A 6 can't hold. We have the spiking high here from last week, spiking high from early in the year. Some lows on the daily chart. So we can see that that level has been honored quite a few times, right around $5. Plus, it's a natural area of support resistance. So now I've done my due diligence. I've looked at the daily chart. I'm looking at areas that I think have the best potential as far as support and resistance goes. Probably going to mark this level up around $7 too, just because it seems like every dollar is a pretty key level as far as support and resistance over on CAAS. So then we're looking at the intraday chart. All right, broke over $5 held up, got over 6. The lows were actually a little bit lower here, right around 584. So if anything, I would say if the stock dump, not try and catch a bounce off 6, but run off the lows at 584. So now we're just adjusting these levels based on the intraday price action, right? Really fine tuning our analysis. $7 is great, right? We had a lot of resistance at 7. Broke above, coming back down and testing. I would actually fine tune this a little bit more and bring it up towards around that 714. Right off this 1 minute candle doji, right off this resistance, I would even, once again, bring it back down again into those spiking highs. So I'm looking at anywhere from 7 to 715 is our next best level of support. If we crack that, where are we going? Right underneath these lows, right around that 665. So again, just because you mark it up on the daily doesn't mean you're done. You got to come right back into that intraday chart, and start marking up your best areas of support and resistance and really fine tuning, right? So that's what we're doing right now. We're just fine tuning these levels. Overall trends, can we put trend lines on it? Is there any kind of patterns, bull flags, head and shoulders patterns that we should be mindful of? Yeah, it's consolidating above $7, but what if it had a big head and shoulders pattern? That's something that we need to visually see and be mindful of so we don't have a long bias mindset when we have a big bearish chart pattern, right? So again, that's kind of what our lesson is. We actually kind of went into it in depth a little bit here, and we have 4 minutes left, so that's my bad. But yeah, that's really what our lesson was going to be. So there you go. It's 9:26 in the morning and we got a lesson out there. So that's really what I do every single morning, step by step by step on one stock. Once that stock's done and I've analyzed it and I have all of that important data, I add it to my watch list and I move on. So what's the next one? SPCB, right? I'm going to go ahead and dive through these really, really quick. You know how we go through this checklist and we know to check them off, and we have certain criteria that needs to be met. So SPCB does meet that criteria. SPCB right now had some good movement here in pre-market around 7 o'clock. Alerted it in chat for the entry, the exit, targets. Personally up $400 on SPCB. Right now it's fading on, off, back down, giving back a little bit of its gains from the 183s all the way back down towards the 150s. So what I want to see is that we're back above 155, because I want to see the price hold above 155. Why is that an important area to me? Well, that was our first spiking high. When we broke above, that was our pullback level. We came back down again and tested it. So you got 1, 2, 3 times 155 was respected. Right here, number 4, right here, number 5, right here, number 6. So 6 different times that 155 has been respected as far as resistance or support. We're back above 155 now. So what do we want to see it do? Respect as support. So as long as we can hold above 155, we do have room back up towards around 177 to 180 over on SPCB. We have news. We have great volume. We're trading over the average daily volume. We're a lower float stock. It's up 84%. Again, technically, we're looking at the chart. If we can hold above 155, we do have room to push back up to the 177 to 183. If we cannot hold up that 155, where can it go? Well, first target to the downside is going to be underneath these intraday lows, then underneath these intraday lows, right? So if we fail, we're probably going to come back down to 144, maybe a little bit of a bounce. If we can't hold 144, back down towards around 133 for a possible little bit of a bounce, right? So that's SPCB. And then last but not least, as far as our small caps, we also have SNDL. SNDL, the only problem with this is it's a large float stock. So if we scroll down and we look at SNDL, it's like 160 million in float, and it's very, very cheap. So you add those two things together, it's going to be pretty hard to get this thing going. With that being said, it's something to keep on watch. There is some news on it. But again, it's just a really large float stock. It's only trading, maybe 10% in the matter of 30 minutes in pre-market. Nothing that's super interesting to me, something that I really want to focus on right out of the gate, but it's definitely worth adding it to your watch list. So go ahead and add it to the watch list, and we will keep it on watch. Last but not least, we have SNSS. I'm not a fan of SNSS just based on the price action. It was consolidating off that big push to the upside, looking like it had potential to break out of this little bit of a flag formation. It dumped all the way back down to 2, and now it's just slowly chopping around above $2. We do have news this morning on SNSS. It is a low-ish float stock. It's 17 million in float. It is trading about 3x average volume. And right now, it's just $2 is support. We need to really see this thing hold above $2 if we want to see it move back to the upside. So let's get over here. Actually, the best support is down here at 179 if we cannot hold $2. So right now, we'll just keep $2 on watch. Again, it's nothing I'm going to watch right out of the gate. I'm actually going to go ahead and come over to oh, my speaker got disconnected. 1 second, guys. I'm going to be watching SPCB out of the gate. Other than that, my bad. I kind of got too wrapped up in the whole pre-market analysis, diving into a little bit of an early lesson. We do have quite a few other stocks I wanted to talk about, but let's go ahead and just sit back for the next 5 minutes, see what we have in store, whether it's SPCB, SNSS, CAAS, and see if there's any opportunity to make some money early on this morning. And then we'll dive into some of our other watches that we had on our watch list, and those are going to be primarily option trades. Those are large cap stocks that we'll be looking at for possible options. So what did we say? First thing when we were analyzing SPCB, the thing's up 90%. What do traders probably want to do? Take some profit. What are we seeing? A lot of profit taking. So again, let's see if one of these levels can hold on up as support. And we'll go from there. So SPCB number 1, penny stock to focus on. CAAS number 2, in my opinion. SNDL, again, large float stock. And then SNSS. Seeing if we can hold above $2. If not, down towards the 195 pre-market lows. I know it's a little too early. It's only a minute and a half into the market, but if SNSS has a 2 to 3 candle pullback, we hold above those 195 lows with decreasing volume. Look for a quick red to green move back up over the open for a quick push over on SNSS. Again, not saying it is going to set up, it is set up or anything like that, but it's something to be mindful of as we're starting to see a little bit of that decreasing volume right into the 195, and we're seeing a little bit of buying pressure come in off those lows at 195. All right, so keep that on high watch. We want to form that B wall. We want to get that nice push, start forming that C wall, that little bit of a U shape. We want to get that break over 206 for a quick push up to 216, right into those highs there over on SNSS. Again, 195 support. If we cannot hold 195, it's coming down to 179. So increasing volume pullback. We had a decent amount of buyers step in right here. We want to see the next 1 minute candle to actually make a new high. Right, so we hadn't had a 1 minute candle to make a new high after this green candle. It was the same high at 203. So the next 1 minute candle to make a new high, that would signal an entry. But again, 195, if we lose that, we're coming down to 179 over on SNSS. We have about 30 seconds left on this candle here. So let's see if this candle can close back above 2. Let's see if we get any nice price action to signal that this thing could definitely get back over for a possible red to green move. That's some decent price action right there over on SNSS. Buyers moving in, pushing it back over $2. We got about 3 seconds left on this candle. Let's see how we close on out. Not the best close on the candle. Not a huge fan of that. If it would have closed with a nice little doji above 2, maybe. But right now, I'm still not a huge fan. And there's a real live red to green move for you. Stock opens red, quick little pullback, immediately goes green on increased volume. Right now, we want to see price hold above the open. So right now, 158 support. So we want to see this hold above 158. All right, so this could definitely push to 180s, guys. So stops are underneath that 158. So you're risking, now if you took the trade about 6 cents, you have room to 180. All right, so the stock broke above the open, pulled back, held. You want to have stops about 2 cents under that level if you like this setup. I want to see how this candle closes out in the next 15 seconds. SNDL, new high a day. Pre-market highs are right at 51. That's support right around 50 to 51 on SNDL. You do have 59 cents resistance over on SNDL. So there's SNDL right back down to those pre-market highs. I want to see if we get that nice continuation here. We had some nice volume, really pushed it, clean about 10% or so. So right now I do have a long over on SNDL, and I'm looking for the continuation, push over 54 off the pullback into those lows at 50 cents, 51 cents. My fill was a little late at 52. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit off the table at 53, and then looking for a high of day with stops at break even over on SNDL. Small size too, only a $5,000 investment here. Looking for a nice little push. Stops are back down at break even. Bids are over 53 cents. We want to see bids step up over 54 here. We do have room to 60. I don't want to see bids ideally drop back below 53 cents. We want to see this nice push here, right now. Over 54, new high a day. There we go, 54.5. Keep on, keeping on. Now I'm putting stops under 54 cents. I'm scaling every penny in my head. If I start to see the bids drop back below, good to go, start scaling out. So right there, I'm going to take a little bit more off the table. 2,500 shares left. Looking for a break over 55 cents. Over 55, I'll take a little bit more. If we can actually get a solid break over 55 on the bids. Looking really good on SNDL. A lot of momentum behind it. A lot of activity. Really pushing this up slow and steady. So I do like the price action here. Price action's not bad at all. We had a lot of buying just come through and eat those sellers out. So I'm going to take a little bit more here at 55. Let's see if we get one last little pop in us before we get a better pullback for a re-entry here over on SNDL. So stops are now under 56. Every time we break over a penny mark, I'm going to bring my stops up underneath that last level. So right now stops are at 56. New stops are if we drop back below 57. That's all I'm doing, watching the level 2. Anything under 57, I'm out. If I see 0.56 hit the bid, I'm out. Anything over 58? Oh, close. There's 58. New stops are under 58. And I accidentally pulled the trigger there. I thought it was going to crack 58 for a second, so I went ahead and sold. So I'm out. Quick little 253 bucks. Not a bad way to start our day. If you guys got in on that, freaking awesome, awesome work. Right into our target of 60 cents. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but that's almost a 20% gain from our entries around 51.5. So awesome job. If anybody got in on that, that was quick, easy money. Definitely a nice little chart too. You know, nice setup there. I mean, it couldn't be any better than that. That was super easy. Price action was good, taking out the sellers, bringing those stops up. Nice little trade there. So right now we do the same thing. We continue to bring our support levels up over the previous highs. So right now we want to see this hold above 53 cents. Yeah, so APHA does have new high a day, slow and steady. We're still slightly below the average daily volume on it. So one thing to be mindful of, but there is some activity here. So far today it's traded 5 million shares. The average volume over the last 3 months is about 8. So definitely can still break that. We can have a solid volume day today. But the one thing I notice, looking at the daily chart, is look at how hot. Look at how overbought this is on the daily chart, right? So whether it's today or tomorrow, you probably will start to see this selling off back down, right? We're a little overextended on the daily. We broke out of this nice little cup and handle ascending triangle, whatever you want to call it on the daily, a break over the 644. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 green days without any kind of pullback yet, and the RSI is very, very hot, very, very overbought. So with that being said, whether that's today or tomorrow, we will start seeing this pull back down into those low sixes to retest those 644s most likely. So be mindful of that even intraday today if you're looking to trade APHA. So ZM was actually a stock on our watch list from yesterday. We said we wanted to ideally see the stock gap up over that 50-day moving average, pull back to retest it as support, then to see some continuation to push this up into the high 4s, low 5s. So what do we see on Zoom? Gapping up over the 50-day. What do we want to see this do? Come back down and retest that level as support. So anywhere from that 475 50-day, but if it does have a little bit of issues and we do wick down underneath, we could come as low as that 471.89. As long as we close above the 50-day, that's great. Again, if it just sells off and then pushes into the green today, that's even better. But again, we have as low as 472 support, but it could also hold the 50-day right around that 475 before we see this push. So again, we want to keep Zoom on high watch today. It does have a lot of room back up into the high 490s. BABA, we wanted to see the gap up. We didn't get it, so we do have room to fall to 260. We do have that gap fill down towards around 260. That would be our target. However, if we get back above 266.34, that is the 13-day moving average, we could push back up into the 275s. But if we get rejected here intraday off 266, we will most likely fall down to 260 over on BABA. Roku was another one we were watching. I'm not really liking the negative divergence we have on the daily RSI. We can see here that we were really, really hot, really overbought here when we were at 240. Daily, we put in new highs around 260, but RSI is showing weakness, right? Making lower highs on the RSI, but the chart's making higher highs. Same thing here. Highs at 284. RSI is still showing a lot of internal weakness. So I want to keep this on watch. It could definitely flag and break here. If we look at this on like a 4-hour chart, definitely has the pull, has the consolidation, looks like it wants to get a third touch break. It could easily break over the 284 and run to 300 bucks, right? But I do want to keep this on watch because we do have a lot of negative divergence on the daily. We could definitely be double topping as well. You got to look at it both ways. The main area is that 270, right? So the main area that we want to keep on watch, if this is going to be a good short, is going to be off these lows at 270. And if we can crack those lows, we have room to 264, then 255 over on Roku, ROKU. So let's keep that on watch today. Again, can definitely work out one of two ways. So we got to wait for those levels to be tagged, either crack and dump or break and push. But I think out of our 4 stocks that we posted on our watch list, ZM is definitely looking the best for the retest of the 50 for a nice little push up into the high 4s. Macy's was another one down towards around the 1030s. That is a key area we have to hold. If we can't hold 1030 to 1039, we're going to come down to 10 bucks. We lose 10 bucks, we're coming down into the low 9s. But if we can actually hold this 1039 level up, I think we have one more little push in us, right? We're really overbought on the RSI on the daily, right? We're very overbought. This almost looks like it's done for. But when you come over into the weekly chart, it looks like it may have one more little push to it before we really get that sell-off. So again, as long as we hold 1039, we could definitely get a push up into the 14 area, the $14 area this week. But if we crack that level, we're definitely coming back down into the low 9s over on Macy's. So let's keep this on watch. This is the absolute lowest we want to see it go. So Macy's, I'm actually going to go ahead and take a trade here with a hard stop in the system. Very tight. Very tight because I want to see if this is something that's going to move on up. So I'm going to put stops underneath those lows at 1034. I'm going to go ahead and do a stop in the system at 1033. I have a 1041 entry, so I'm risking like 100 bucks. So stops are in the system. I just want to see if that's the low and if we're going to get a big U-shaped possible breakout today. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. It's 10 cents. We have a lot of room to the upside, though. And this was one on the watch list that I've already done my analysis on, so I'm very confident that, again, if we don't crack another low, and, 1034 is our low today, that we should see some room to the upside. So let's see how that works out. Other than that, CAAS falling on off. SNDL already made its move, giving a lot back. SNSS not doing too much. Let's see if we can actually bottom out down here towards around the 179s, the 180s. SPCB looking pretty bearish. Zoom, still have some time for that to work itself out. SPCE. Tesla giving quite a bit back. NIO, Netflix. Let's go look at some options. Facebook. Definitely a bear flag here, guys. So if you're looking for some puts on Facebook, puts would be right now with stops above the swing highs at 274.65. This is a really nice bearish flag. Big dump, consolidation in a sloping fashion to the upside. Looking for the crack on down. Stops would have to be over those highs. And it's not a super hot day. Like we said, coming into it, a lot of companies aren't really issuing press releases because it's the last day of the month. Yes, it is Money Monday. Woo! But it is also the last day of the month. So I do think we should see a much better day tomorrow in the markets. But today was a hell of a day. I got stopped out of Macy's. That's fine. Still up $546. That's my daily goal, so I'm going to keep that money and lock it in. Other than that, I do think we're going to have a lot more opportunity come tomorrow. However, it's still only 20 minutes into the market, right? We're only 20 minutes in, so there's still tons of time. Right now, I don't see too much, though. Really looking at a lot of our stocks that are moving on up. I don't see really too much at this point in time.